the verse of the day is coming from Psalms chapter 24, verse 7. And it says, "Lift up your heads, you gates, and be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in." Yes, lift up your heads, you gates, and be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. So yes, lift up your heads. Do not be bogged down by the cares of this world. Please let go of worrying. Yes, let go of worrying. Worrying creates quarrels, and quarrels are like complaints or a cause of complaints. So yes, surrender to God, surrender to the process, release for peace. Again, release for peace. So yes, lift up your heads, make room for God, release for peace. Make room for God to come through for you. So yes, in order for God to come through for you, you have to make room for him. It starts with you. The King of glory wants to come in, but he wants you to submit to him and to give him the glory. It starts with you. So God is saying, move from a place of complacency, okay? Move from a place of complacency. So complacency is the feeling of self-satisfaction without knowledge or awareness of the changes or the dangers of the deficiencies lurking within oneself. So it's the feeling of self-satisfaction without knowledge, okay? The feeling of self-satisfaction without knowledge. So yes, dig deeper, step away from the place of complacency, and don't just hear the word, but also make the necessary changes. So yes, step away from the place of complacency. Lift up your head, make room for God. We have to dig deeper. We have to dig deeper, and digging deeper creates more room and creates more capacity for God to come in. So the King of glory wants to come in and change your story. But again, it starts with you. It starts with us. We have to dig deeper. We have to lift up our heads. We have to step away from the place of complacency. When we make room for God, God will make room for us. Again, when we make room for God, God will make room for us. So yes, and when he makes room for us, he makes room for us to become fruitful. And then God took me to Genesis 26 and 22 also. And it says, "And he," meaning Isaac, "moved from there and dug another well. And they did not quarrel over it. He called this place, or he called this name, Rehoboth, because he said, for now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land." So he called the place Rehoboth, meaning, for now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. So yes, like I said before, when we make room for God, God makes room for us. So yes, in Genesis chapter 26, Isaac's servants had found a valley, and in this valley they started digging, and they found, fresh water. So they dug a well. But when they dug the well, some herders said that there was their water, that was their well. So they moved along. They didn't stay complacent. They kept moving. So they dug another well. And again, they said that this well is ours. They claimed it. They wanted to quarrel. They wanted to, come against them and start an argument. But the servants, Isaac and his servants, just kept going. And the third time, he dug another well. And that's where we get verse 22. It says, "And Isaac, moved from there and dug another well." Isaac and his servants didn't become complacent. They lifted up their head and they kept going, and they kept making room for God. And when they dug this last well, they did not quarrel over it. So the other people, the herders, did not quarrel over it. So he called its name Rehoboth, because he said, "For now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land." So Rehoboth means wide space, broad spaces. So God wants to bring us into this wide space, this broad space. But we have to make room for him. We have to lift up our head. We have to stop quarreling over things and worrying over things. We have to release for peace. We have to step away from the place of complacency and make room for God so he can make room for us. Like, God wants to give us these wide spaces and these broad spaces. But again, we have to make room for him. So yes, dig deeper. Make room for God to come through for you. Dig deeper. Keep digging. Lift up your head and keep moving. So this is a season of more, yes, but it also requires more. More lifting up your head, more surrendering, more yielding, more moving, more releasing, more making room, more building capacity, more stepping away from complacency, and more digging deeper. So again, the verse of the day comes from Psalms 24:7. It says, lift up your heads, you gates, and be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. So yes, again, lift up your heads and make room for God. When you make room for God, God will make room for you. So yes, lift up your heads